we had some
We're having some technical difficulties
there
here
we
with his
go.
talking. Sorry,
Yeah,
people.
even my talking, yeah, it's moved on to my talking. So, but we are back live. I'm here with Savannah Dean at Sav on Sports on the Twitter. If you want to get at her, and she got some great takes. She's really knowledgeable. She's funny. She's entertaining. We were talking the MVP, right? We were kind of just towards the end of that, but I was kind of segueing into, we were talking about who is the MVP, what is the MVP. They should sort of define the MVP. You were saying you think it's just the best player in NFL, sort of like the Heisman, and I kind of agree, but I also feel like it's got to be valuable because like that's why they have the offensive player of the year award because you could say the best person in sports on offense, right? Is and technically, and that's interesting because even still they have defensive MVP and then MVP, so it kind of even almost insinuates is the right word, or sort of like it. It's kind of obvious that they mean offensive, right? So it's like the
Right.
best offensive person. Which okay, I get that because then you have the defense MVP, and then you have but you don't have a defensive player of the year award, do you? I mean, you don't like it's just defensive MVP, right? Like
I mean,
that,
we have a defense. There's a defensive player of the year.
but for rookies though.
Oh, well, there's a offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year.
But I know there's offensive and defensive rookie of the year. But is there like defensive MVP and then defensive player of the year, or is it just defensive MVP? You know what I'm saying?
It's just like defensive player of the year
Exactly.
for
To me, that even goes to like more reason why MVP should be for the most and not just the best person. Because if you're gonna have if you're gonna have a whole award for the best offensive player, then that to me says that the MVP might not be the best player. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
So like
Yeah, I get that. That's a good take. Yeah.
and I feel like they should allow it. It sucks that unfortunately. Well, thank you for saying that was a good take. And I feel like they should allow it. Even like the voters shouldn't be so biased towards you know the team success because winning is a team accomplishment, just like the Super Bowl is. And it's like if you're able to put up good numbers or like have a good season even with a bad team. Now, I mean, I feel like you got to have some wins. You can't be winless. But I mean, if you're like a 6-7 win team, but you're still doing great, I guess like we're saying, like Matt Ryan, right? Maybe Matt Ryan could be, but I would be pissed if something like that.
He did in
He
2016.
did. He did win it in 2016 over Rodgers. So you said Cook and Henry. Another guy, and I said Kelsey. I think my audio went off for a second there, so I'm just going to kind of go over that. I said Kelsey. I mean, he's been doing a really great job. He's like you said, he's leading the league in reception yards for no matter the position, and he's got 1,000 straight yards, 5,000 straight yards, 5 seasons of 1,000 yards or more, which is a record for a tight end. I mean, he's really putting up Hall of Fame numbers, honestly, to be completely honest with you. But the third guy that I think should get a nod, who probably may not get one, to me is Devontae Adams.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, when you think about like what he's doing right now, I want to say he leads the league in touchdowns, and he's not that far off of the he's not that far off of the yards, being one of the top guys in yards. Even let's see, do we have yards? Okay. Oh well, I'm just checking NFL.com, and actually Hopkins passed Kelsey. He's got 1324.
Okay.
Kelsey is second with 1318. Okay. And Diggs is third with 1314. Metcalf is fourth with 1223. Hill is fifth with 1211. Ridley is sixth with 1192, and Adams is seventh with 1186. But when you figure he missed 3 games basically.
Yeah. Half games. He's still up there. He has 14 touchdowns.
14 touchdowns, 1,144 yards, and he's one behind Tyreek Hill now in touchdowns. So
yeah, and he's literally averaging 12.1 yards like a catch, which is a crazy high number.
Give us those stats.
He really is. Yeah, he's breaking a lot of records, like not just for the Packers, but for like NFL history. He's really breaking so many like random records, and he's playing so well. I really think that was. So I'm looking at his stats right now. So the Carolina game, other than the Detroit game, he had 3 receptions for 36 yards. So the Carolina game was his second worst game of the season because he had 61 yards against Tampa Bay. And he had 42 yards against Carolina. So this game, and he still looked good.
Yeah.
Like the catch, like he had a drop, which sucks because that was his first drop of the season.
I had been kind of saying like it was a little like off the way that they Okay. You can hear me though, you said still?
Huh?
All right, well, second technical difficulty of the day. That's all right though, man. It's live television, live broadcasting. That's just how these things go sometimes, especially when you're in like, upstart. We still figure things out. I'm not really sure what happened, but yeah, you were just talking about Devontae Adams, man. How he's breaking not only like he's on pace to set some records for Packers, but also just the league. And he's been on it, and he's been hot. And even in some of the games where he wasn't, everybody has games where they don't show up, or teams are able to sort of kind of. I mean, even Derrick Henry had a game where he had like 60 yards rushing. I feel like this year. So it's like sometimes teams they get paid too. You know what I'm saying? They pros on the other side as well. But
right.
I think.
But the crazy thing is you still can't completely ever shut him down. Like he still had a couple receptions.
Yeah.
Like he would have had another one if he didn't have a drop. It's not because they couldn't. It's not because they covered him well. It was literally his fault.
Yeah.
Like it's impossible to completely shut those strong type of players down. Like Derrick Henry, like he only had maybe 60 rushing yards that one game, but like a lot of players are like happy with that number.
No.
So it's just that type of thing, like that's shutting them down.
Right.
To
only 60, right? Exactly.
Well, they are.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true. That's a good take, and honestly, you made a point too when my audio was out about some of those plays where maybe he dropped it or whatever. If it's a penalty or it gets called back or something. I never thought about that too because you get to replay it down. So whatever stat happens on that play actually never happens. So that's actually another interesting point. All right, so I think you took Henry basically. I feel like you went with Henry. You think Henry's going to be offensive player of the year if he doesn't get MVP. So I'm going to go just to be different, just so we have like not agreeing on everything. Even though I feel like that's a great pick. I'm gonna go Kelsey. Honestly, I think Kelsey he might have a chance to get it. I mean, he's got 10 TDs on the year, 98 receptions, 1,300 yards. I mean, that kid's he's fucking balling. But if it's like Adams, it's like every year he misses like 2 or 3 games, or like Rodgers gets hurt. It's like there's never been a year where he's just had a chance to like for 16 games just put on display what he can do. And it's like it's so frustrating because
but it sucks that people look at injury like, oh, because he got hurt, he can't win it. When his stats are still top of the charts and he's missed those games.
Yeah.
Like I literally feel like unless you miss half the season or more, then like missing 3.5 games should not hurt you to the point where you don't win it when your stats are literally so good that you're still up at the top of the people that have not missed a game.
I mean, they could look at it that way, but I think they're going to probably just say, well, these are the stats. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not holding it against him. I'm just saying that it sucks because I think he would very well be leading the league in every stat. I think he would have the most yards. He'd definitely have the most touchdowns. And I think he would even have the most receptions. He's only 7 receptions behind Kelsey for the receptions. I mean, and I actually was like played it out and this is before last week where he didn't have like his average receptions like this game. But I mean, he was even on pace if he just would have, even with still, I think like with the games that he missed and just throughout the rest of the season, was it how did I do it? I think if you added in the games that he missed plus what he was averaging, or maybe it was even just what he was averaging with the games left in the season. If he would have averaged that for the rest of the season, he would have been like only a couple of receptions shy of the record that Michael Thomas just set last year with like 149 or something like that. So it's like, or maybe it was with the games he missed too. I think maybe it was because it was like would have been like 20-some extra catches. I'm not sure, but either way, the point is, Devontae Adams, he's been lighting it up this year. He's been on fire this year, and I think that he definitely needs to be in the conversation. And it feels like there's still people who don't want to put him in that upper echelon tier. They still put other guys ahead of him, and or put him like fourth on the list or fifth on the list. I'm just like, no, he's definitely that. He needs to be the first guy you say now. Like, oh, who's the best? Devontae Adams. Then say other people. Like, because to me, that's really kind of how he's been playing. So.
Right.
All right. We could go into the Aaron Jones conversation, unless you want to say that for last, or do you want to preview the Titans?
No, we could do Aaron Jones.
You want to do Aaron Jones? We don't have to do too much because I actually already covered this again. But I wanted to I covered it on another video last week, but I did want to just get your thoughts on the Aaron Jones contract situation. If you don't know, for those who are listening or watching, he is up at the end of this year. This is the 4th year of his deal. He was drafted in the 5th round, so there's no 5th round. There's no 5th year option, I should say, for guys who aren't drafted in the 1st round. And he's up for a contract extension at the end of this year. And recently, as of like last week, he fired the agent that he's had since he came into the league, and hired Drew Rosenhaus, who is notoriously famous for asking for a lot of money for his clients and getting his clients paid a ton of money. A lot of the famous guys throughout the years who have had record-setting deals have had Drew Rosenhaus as their agent. So he's got a track record, and I think that I know there hasn't been a lot of talks between Aaron Jones and the Packers and his agent. And so I think he kind of is sending a message to the Packers and to the league, like, this is how I see my value. I see myself as somebody who's worth getting paid a lot of money, and I'm going to go out and get an agent who's famous or known for getting his guys a lot of money. So that begs the question, do you think Aaron Jones is going to sign with the Green Bay Packers next year and be on this team in 2021? Or do you feel like he is going to price himself out of Lambeau? I'll let you have at it.
I really want him to resign, but I don't think he will, just specifically because of how much money he's going to ask for, and like, we can't do that. But I personally do think that we should spend the money on him. Like, you don't need to pay him like $100 million. Obviously, running backs don't go that high. But just in general, you don't need to necessarily pay him the top tier, top end, like, money that that the running backs get, because he's not the best running back in the NFL, but he definitely has, like, higher value than other people on our team. So
let me ask you then, though, because you just said that, where would you rank him?
Probably 5.
You think he's like a top 5 guy? Can you give me your top 5 then, like, just off the top of your head?
Okay, well, I definitely have to go with Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook, and then if Christian McCaffrey was playing, he would definitely be in there. And then, there's a lot of people that could be around, like, the edge on, like, 5. Like, you got to go, like, there's Aaron Jones, and then there's, like, Josh Jacobs, and, like, players like that. So, like, it could be anywhere. You could place him really anywhere, depending on, like, who you kind of think has a little bit more skill.
Your flavor, like, really. Like, kind of what's your flavor type of shit.
He could be anywhere at the earliest. He could be 4. And then I could see people putting him at, like, 7.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely in the top 10. Personally, I put him at 5.
Yeah, I mean, because you didn't even say Kamara. Because I think Kamara, honestly, is better than Cook.
Oh, I mean, I don't think he's better, but I think they're right there. Like, I don't even want to say that they're even, though. I just feel like Kamara's more of like an all-around player. Like, he can run, and then he can also be like a receiver, which is great.
Yeah.
But if I'm like,
You're talking like just pure, because Cook does that too, though. Cook kind of, to me, that's what I'm saying. Like, Cook to me is like a not as, I don't know, it's kind of crazy, not as good, but to me, like, Kamara and Christian McCaffrey are on the same level as far as guys who can be receivers and running backs. Like, Christian McCaffrey can run between the tackles, and he can run outside, and he's tough. He's like a physical runner, but he can also, like, fucking lead the league in like receiving. You know, like
Right.
if
And
he
that's
wanted
kind of
to.
how it is. Like that's kind of how it is with like like Kareem Hunt. Like Nick Chubb is like the main running back for the Browns, but
Yeah.
like Kareem Hunt is a great running back and a great like
Yeah.
wideout running back. You know, like he can receive too. And like there's Nick Chubb that is just purely just like runs.
Running the ball,
Like
yeah.
if Nick Chubb's catching anything, it's out of the backfield. You know,
Yeah.
like it's. So there's a bunch of players, like Aaron Jones is one of those all-around players, which is why I feel like I could put him in the top 5.
Yeah.
I just think I want him to get re-signed. I really do think he deserves it. And for me, the way that I look at it as is the Packers are not rebuilding yet. So
No,
for you
they're
to
not.
move on, for you to move on to someone that's so talented and has so many skills, like the only thing that really Aaron Jones needs to work on is his like blocking skills when other teams decide to blitz. He struggles with that sometimes.
Yeah.
But like
He's gotten better though this year. He's gotten better though.
Yeah, exactly. He's way better this year than he was last year. Like his stock for everything just keeps going up.
Yeah.
So like if we're not rebuilding yet, if we're not looking for draft picks, if we're not looking for all this stuff, like I feel like you need to re-sign him. You need to find that money, maybe restructure some contracts, maybe like you need to find that money to re-sign him because we need the strong people on our team. We can't just keep saying, oh, we've had him for 4 years. He's really good. Like, maybe we'll just happen to draft somebody else. Or maybe in a couple of years, A.J. Dillon will just be another Aaron Jones. But by the time he's another Aaron Jones, like...
You'll have to find another A.J. Dillon.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I feel like when you're not rebuilding and you're not, you're not worrying about, like, oh, I hope we're good next year, like, because we suck this year, then you need to take those talented players and you need to re-sign them. So I think the Packers should do whatever it takes to get Aaron Jones to stay with them for next year and beyond.
I agree with you, Savannah, but I think just based on the Packers' history, I mean, I can't even remember like the last time they really spent a lot of money on that position. They're very frugal. And Eddie Lacy, we never got a chance to see because unfortunately he just sort of escorted himself out of the NFL.
Right.
But and I really do. I mean, I was actually thumping hard all freaking off season, like on Twitter and saying Aaron Jones to me is one of the best running backs. And I even went as crazy as to say he was actually. I felt like he was just as good as a Christian McCaffrey. But the thing I feel like really hurts Aaron Jones is this system that he's in. All those other guys, with the exception, like you said, now of Chubb, but even still, they run the ball so damn much. Chubb and Hunt are going to like both have 1,000 yards rushing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how talented both of those guys are. And I want to say Cleveland is the #1 rushing team in the league. So it's like
I think that's the Ravens.
You still think it's still the Ravens?
Might be up there.
Yeah. So I mean, they've got to be. I mean, if you got two guys who are almost at 1,000 yards rushing, you've got to be in the top 5 for sure, or maybe even the top 3. So it's like he's like Chubb is able to like still have his thing, but it seems like the way that Jones is used, they really. In the way that the running game hasn't been the focal point this year. I feel like if the running game was more of the focal point, like it is in Cleveland, or like you say, if you just take, but if like that's what I was gonna say. If all those guys really though, like Jones is the one who really kind of gets split the most, his carries and his touches, and it's not really the focal point of the offense to have him running the ball and be when he was last year, you saw he had 19 total touchdowns, which was like tied for the best in the league, and he had over like 1,400 total yards from scrimmage. He had some passing yards, and you saw the offense was able to function really well even while missing Devontae Adams last year. So it's like I think he can really be that guy. Unfortunately, I think he is going to price himself out of Green Bay, and I don't even know. The thing is, like, I don't even know how much Green Bay wants to pay him because right now the tag in general is kind of high for Cook and Kamara. both got like 80 million guaranteed or some crazy shit. Like they got like a lot of money, and I don't know if the Packers are like. I don't know if the Packers are going to want to pay him 20 million or 19 or 16 even, which is what those guys are getting.
No, I feel like that's way too much money.
Yeah.
I think that's way too much money, but I don't even think he should be asking for that. Like that type of stuff is for literally like people, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, the very top players in the league. And then you say, okay, I'm not there, but like I'm almost there. So if they're getting this amount of money, then I need to scale it back a little bit and ask for this amount of money.
I mean, you say that because we want, and we say that, but I mean, you have to ask for the most. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to shoot for the stars. Maybe shoot for the freaking Mars, and maybe you land up on the moon or something. Okay, but. So, yeah, Kamara signs a 5-year, $75 million contract, including $15 million signing bonus, $33 million guaranteed, with an average salary of $15 million a year. So, that's Kamara. I think he was the most recent guy to sign. I think Kamara was.
So, I feel like if we could get him, like, 10 million a year, like
10 and a half.
I'd be cool with it.
Yeah, 10 and a half maybe.
Yeah, he's gonna ask for 15 a year, and we're not gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, but no one might want to do it. Like you said, maybe he asks, maybe he puts it. Say, look, but I think this is Jones. I think Jones is gonna say like, if you look at what I've done, and then you compare it to these other guys who have more like even Christian McCaffrey, and that's why I was like kind of going crazy this offseason when I was like, man, if you look at Christian McCaffrey and Aaron Jones' numbers, they both had 19 total touchdowns last year. Okay? But if you look at McCaffrey had way more receiving yards. I want to say he had like 1,000 yards receiving. I think last year McCaffrey had like 1,000 yards receiving, and and so, but if you look at their touches. I added it up and I've basically worked it out, and Jones had 170 less total touches, and that's like combined with like targets in the passing game and like carries in the running game than Christian McCaffrey. 170 less.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And he was able to still produce 19 touchdowns. He was able to still have one of the better averages per rush in the NFL. He was still able to like have like I think he had like 400 or something like yards in the receiving game, or like maybe I want to look it up, but I also don't want to look it up. But it's like Jones. I mean, just imagine, what even if like maybe the yards and the reception numbers wouldn't have been as crazy. To me, at the end of the day, it's about touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want a guy to really... Like, I remember there was one year, like, Jerome Bettis or something. Like, he had... I think this is when they had like, brought in Rashard Mendenhall, or they were kind of, like, fake. Like, Jerome Bettis was, like, towards the end of his career, and they had brought in another guy, and they were splitting time. But Jerome Bettis still had, like, 10 touchdowns, but he only had, like, 30 yards rushing or something, because they were just bringing him in on like goal line or something crazy. Like he only had like 20 yards rushing, but he had like all these touchdowns because they were just bringing him in on these goal line plays, and he still was producing. And I'm not saying like, of course you wouldn't pay a guy for just doing that, but
right.
If Aaron Jones had another 170 total, and I think it was like 100 carries in general, and like it's like 100 carries and 70 more targets in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could have fucking maybe had 25, 26 touchdowns on the year. I mean, he would have been in like LaDainian Tomlinson all-time territory for touchdowns on a season. So, I mean, I think he's going to really probably like his negotiating tactic is going to be like, look at my usage, and still I'm able to be in the category with these guys. And I still, when I get an opportunity, I put the ball in the end zone. I'm a home run threat. I'm a one of the best weapons in football, and I think he's gonna
which is why I think that the Packers should do whatever they can
to try to retain him.
Obviously, he's gonna ask for a lot of money, and I do think it's a lot of money. But like in general, I think the Packers need to do whatever they can to re-sign him, because if we want to stay this strong team, like Jamal Williams is a good running back.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't really know much about AJ Dillon,
Yeah.
but just in general, like Aaron Jones is a really good running back.
Yeah.
He's a very good all-around running back.
Yeah.
So it's just like I think the Packers need to do whatever they can to re-sign him, because they can't just let him go and just assume that their next draft pick is going to be a great Aaron Jones.
Yeah. Within reason, of course, like we both said. Do whatever you can within reason. So you thinking maybe like 10.5. I'll say 10.5, and maybe a nice little juicy signing bonus, and maybe Rodgers can restructure somewhere in there. But then honestly, I think even Devontae Adams is going to be up for another deal, like in another year.
I think he still has 2 more years.
2 more years. So it's like, you're going to have to pay that guy again. I mean, we'll see. Maybe he's 27 right now. He'll be, 29? We all know how the Packers are about receivers over 30, or like in that 30 range. So, it's like he might just be 29, might get him signed. And then, of course, if he's still just playing at an all-pro level. I agree with you, though. Just to wrap up the Aaron Jones conversation, I agree with you. I think they should try, but I feel like he's going to probably maybe ask for like $13 million. Or maybe he's going to ask for like $12 million, and the Packers going to say like, that's too much. That's $2 million too much, and they're going to let him walk, and they're going to say we're going to roll with Williams, who we really like. He's very versatile, and we got this Dillon kid that we hoping he's not the same game breaker as Aaron Jones, but he's physical, he's fast. He actually compared really well and like all across the board with his numbers and his metrics and his measurables to a Derrick Henry, honestly, coming out of Alabama, except for his height. But everything else, the shuttle, the 3-cone, the quickness, the 40 time, the bench press, body fat, all that stuff, the weight, he's basically like a shorter Derrick Henry. And I think that's what the Packers are hoping on. Is like if he played at Boston College, though. So, if he would have played in the SEC at Georgia, or at, or if he played at Ohio, or if he played at Alabama or something, maybe he would have been a first-round draft pick. He would have been a top 10, top 15 guy, and the Packers wouldn't have had a chance to get him anyways. And I think maybe that's what they're banking on. And they might just let Jones walk out the door. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. I think all Packers fans all around the world, whether you agree with it or not, will still be sad to see him go. So
100%.
Yeah. So, all right. So that brings us to the last topic of the day, which is week 16, right? Because it's 17 weeks, 16 games. So week 16, we got the Tennessee Titans, formerly of the Houston Oilers. Did you know that? Do you remember when they were the Houston Oilers? The Tennessee Titans, man, they are going to be coming into Lambeau, bringing now the number 1 offense in the league. Did you know that? That was actually, I saw that today. They've overtaken the Packers by like less than a point, though. It's like the Packers are 31.6 or 31.2, and the Titans are 31.9 or something. So it's like less than a point. But statistically, the Tennessee Titans now boast the number 1 offense in football. Okay? The defense still leaves a little bit to be desired. I feel like they're kind of like the AFC version of the Packers, honestly. When you really look at these teams, I feel like the Titans are the AFC version of the Packers, but instead of having like the all-pro MVP quarterback, they've got the all-pro MVP running back. It's like they switch, and like Aaron Jones, like and like Tannehill are kind of like on the same level. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they've got like Aaron Jones at quarterback and Aaron Rodgers at running back, and we've got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback and Aaron Jones at running back. But the Titans, man, they can put up points. Corey Davis, AJ Brown, studs. We all know Henry. He's a monster. He is a.
I know, but we all know that the Packers are good at home. Like they're one of only 3 teams this whole season to not allow a team to score 30 points or more at Lambeau.
Hey, maybe you should be AKA Sav on Sports, AKA Sav on Stats. You know what I'm saying? Like you got the stats, and that's a good stat. I did not know that. So already that's one in the favor of the Packers. They not. I don't care what they're averaging 31 points. They're not going to score more than 30. So shit, the Packers,
Nope.
as long as the Packers can score 31. But look, I mean, what are your initial feelings about this game?
That we have a phenomenal offense and they have a 27th ranked defense, and they have a phenomenal offense and we have the 8th ranked defense. So if we can keep up with those like numbers and stats,
more
that
stats,
we can win. Like obviously, I know that Derrick Henry is a monster, and I'm definitely terrified of him. But if our defense plays like they did last week, and I think this game is a very winnable game.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there's no stopping Henry. Like, he's probably going to have 100 rush yards or more.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm still worried that he's going to run all over us, just like Dalvin Cook did, when he played the Vikings the second time. But just in general,
I know. That was so.
He can run all over us. Just don't score any points.
Right. Exactly. Don't let him score. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like 200 rush yards, 0 touchdowns.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Like bend don't break mentality. Let him rush for 30 yards every time you're on the field, and then just stop him and make him punt or make him get a field goal.
Or hey, you know what I'm saying? Get that ball out. Get that ball out. Or like you said, maybe. Who knows? Maybe the Packers will surprise us and have because if they get into the end zone, they're gonna go to Henry at least one of those couple times. Maybe the Packers will surprise us and have the goal line stand of the ages and keep Derrick Henry out of the end zone 4 times. I mean, that would be so amazing.
That would be really great.
Because to me,
and we know that Corey Davis and AJ Brown are threats, and that's the thing is they can do it in the air and they can also do it on the ground.
And
so that's what it's gonna be hard to cover.
And Tannehill can run. He had 3 rushing touchdowns or 2 rushing touchdowns this last game. I want to say it was either 2 or 3. I had him on my fantasy football league. Tannehill has been a godsend for me. I drafted him in the last couple rounds. Do you play fantasy football?
I do, yeah.
Are you doing good this year, or what is your team look like this year?
Well, only 4 people made the playoffs, and I was 5th.
Oh.
So, but I mean, I wasn't bad. I think I went 8-5.
Okay, yeah. My team, I didn't start Calvin Ridley the first 3 weeks, stupidly. So if I would have though, I think I would have been in the championship round. But this weekend, of all the people playing, and we have a little consolation round or whatever, I had the most points.
Yeah.
I had the most points
really?
this weekend. So if I was in the championship, I'd be going on to the finals. But I'm not. But anyways, yeah, I'm really. I mean, my initial thoughts on the game is, I'm worried offensively because I go back to that Saints game and a lot of fans are like, yeah, we beat the Saints, okay, but. And we were both missing a star. That's what everyone says. They were missing Thomas. We were missing Adams. And while I think that this offense can put up points and kind of run with almost anybody, I'm concerned about what just happened this past week. I am concerned about, I know that they're really, really good, but for some reason they have stretches where they just come out flat. And they don't do anything. And like I said, we've seen that really 3 times now. The Tampa Bay game was just a wash all the way through. The Indianapolis game.
The first quarter was great. And then everything else, I was like, yay.
And it's but the Indianapolis game was man, y'all scored 28 points in the first quarter against then, at the time, the best defense in the league, at least the number 1 scoring defense in the league. And then you didn't do jack in the second half. Except for a field goal. And then you have again, Carolina's not even as good as Indy was. And Tennessee's better than Carolina on defense. So it's and Indy has Tennessee, I'm saying all these teams. Tennessee, they have some pieces. They have some guys on defense that can be disruptive, that can make plays. They're not just bereft of talent. They have guys on that defense that can make plays who are some of the better guys in the league. And then and that's another thing I'm worried about, is because they can run the ball so well. If the Packers, look, to me, 150 yards is a success. You know, like if like with this defense, if they can just hold Henry to like 150 and a touchdown, I will consider that a successful day against Derrick Henry. Like
that's so sad.
but it's like I mean, I'm just being honest. Like if they just said right now, I'll give you all he will have is 150 and one score, I would say, okay, I'll take my chances. With
right.
You know, I like that. I'll take my chances because he can have 70 and a touchdown on one, and that means really the last 70 is like spread out through the rest of the game, and they did a good job. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like so,
true.
It's like you know I'll take that, but then you still have to couple that with Tannehill, who can run. And like I said, those two receivers who are tall and physical, and while Jair Alexander can shut one of them down, I don't know about Kevin King. You know, I'm not sure about King, man. And so my initial thing,
and like who do you put on who? Do you put King on Davis because they're both bigger?
Yeah.
Or do you put the better
defender on the better?
Like,
I mean,
and I don't want to say that Davis is better than Brown, but Davis has been producing more than Brown recently.
Yeah.
So it's like, who do you put on who?
I think it really, you know, I think it could come down to like just, I'm a proponent of like, put your best guy on their best guy. Like, you know, yeah, maybe he's like a little bit smaller or whatever the case is, but like he's your best guy. So they should go on your best guy. But I also think it's going to have to like factor in is like when they're in running formations, like I want Jair on that side. Like if there's an obvious side that they could be running to, even though, I mean, I don't think that Jair, and someone tweeted this earlier today, even though I don't think any of our, you know, defensive backs really stand a chance on tackling this dude one-on-one. If I had to pick one, it would be Jair Alexander. You know what I'm saying? I don't want the other guys trying to tackle Henry. Like, I mean, if it has to be one guy, I feel like Jair's quick enough to maybe get in there, and he's really great at getting at those legs, getting at those ankles, getting at those, like, shins, and, like, kind of knocking a dude down or, like, dragging a dude down. So I think that could come into factor too. Like Jair might travel, and to make sure he's always on the side where Henry could run to. Honestly, so I mean, but to your point, like you said, if this defense plays like they've been playing the last couple of weeks, and if Amos and Savage, who have been stepping up in the running game too. And being really I think both of those guys are really good in the box. And I think that's why Patton needs to play more man. It's like we have a lot of dudes who are kind of physical, but sometimes it's either the angle or just the overall scheme. They're just not in a good position to make a tackle or make a play. But
right.
If look, man, if Savage and Amos are going to keep playing like this, they're going to have to get pressure. They're going to have to get pressure on Tannehill, and they're gonna need their biggest, nastiest guys up front. So I want to see Kiki honestly get some more playtime this week. I think we're gonna see a lot of that package where you have Zadarius and Gary and Preston all on the field, and then Kiki and hopefully Martin and Barnes.
That's what I was gonna say. I really feel like, obviously, we haven't seen like a big enough sample size for them for us to be like, oh, they're the best players. You need to play them every snap, all this stuff. But like, this is going to be a huge test for them. Like, if they've only been playing about 30%, maybe 30% of like the snaps, in reality, I feel like they should be playing like at least 50. Like 50 to 55.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I think that the place that they're in, like, they've been making good stops. They've been doing good stands. Like, they have like that talent. They show that burst of like energy that like our team really needs. I really think that if they ever try to run Henry up the A gap, they will be the people to stop him.
Yeah.
I think they need to be. I think if they see something like that, then they need to put them in.
Yeah.
And if you know what, if you miss it, then you know what, you take them out and you give them a break and you talk to them and then you put them back in.
Put them back in.
Like,
yeah.
People are gonna miss tackles on Henry. They could literally be wrapped around him and he'd still be like, "Don't touch me, get off of me! Like, you're not gonna tackle me."
Yeah.
But that happens with everybody. So it's just like
everybody.
I really do think that it's gonna be possible that they're gonna be the people that help stop Henry from getting 350 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And look, yeah, I mean, and look, and I'm gonna say this like kind of facetiously, but like seriously, if he does have a big day, then I just want him to just break the record. Like if you're gonna like, don't stop at like 270. Like just get what 300 and just, or was it the record is 296? I think Adrian Peterson set his rookie year. Get 290
like rushing yards per game
in a game. Yeah, Adrian Peterson has the record for 296 yards in a single game, and it's like if he has a huge day, then yeah, fuck it, just have the day and just break the record. But I mean, I agree with you. Barnes and Martin definitely need more playing time. I'll say this, like Martin, he was looking great all camp. Then he got injured right before the start of the season, and then he misses all 6 weeks or some craziness. And then he's a rookie. He didn't have off-season training camp. He didn't have rookie OTAs. So he's really learning. He's really in training camp right now. You know what I'm saying? The mistakes he's making and trying to learn on the fly. This is his training camp. So I think. Right. But when you turn on the tape, there are 3 or 4 times every single game where Kamal Martin is in the backfield. In some last week, he missed. I think it was one of the very first few plays of the game that that Carolina had. Kamal Martin shot into the backfield and he would have had a tackle for loss for 5 or 7 yards, but he whiffed on the guy just by this much. But then later on in the game, he was able to bring him down for a 3 or 4 yard loss. So that kid is fast. He's explosive. He's instinctive. And he is always 3 or 4 times a game. He is in the backfield, either missing the tackle or making the tackle. But at least he's in the backfield, which is more than I can say for Kirksey and Blake and some of the other guys. So I feel like the only way for him to learn how to break down and how to it's a different speed in the NFL, and to learn how he wants to, I guess, maybe work in unison with his big uglies up front, the big guys in the front. When his butt is like this, I need to, you know what I mean? All that stuff comes into play when you're playing a linebacker position and you're trying to figure out how you work in unison with your D linemen. All those little nuances of where their body's positioned and all that kind of stuff. I think the only way he can get better is if it's to play. And yeah, he might make some mistakes, but I feel like they just got to live with that, because I mean, it's worse when Kirksey makes the mistake, because he's supposed to be the 6-year veteran and he's still making the mistake, right. And he's just not athletic enough. I don't think he fully recovered from his injury last season. And so it's I just rather, if a mistake is going to be made, I'd rather it be made at 110 miles per hour and let the rookie make it, and so he can learn.
Right, exactly.
So, do you want to give a prediction for the game, or an outcome, or a bold prediction, or somebody to watch, or you want to, what are your final thoughts on the game this Sunday night?
So
everyone's watching.
So the Packers are averaging 31 points a game, and the Titans are averaging 31.1.
Yeah, as I said, it's barely not even a point.
But like I said, the Packers are one of only 3 teams to not allow 30 points or more to be scored at home this season. And this is their last home game, and it's in December. Rodgers' month is literally December. This is who he is. He plays great at home. So I really do think that the Packers are going to play a really great game. It's just literally, it hurts me, but I think the Titans are going to win. It does hurt. It does hurt me.
So you are predicting the Titans to win?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be 28-24.
Oh wow, 28. Wow, 24. Sav on Sports is on.
I mean,
the record.
it's I want to pick the Packers, but I have to be realistic with how explosive their offense is.
Yeah.
And even though they don't have a great defense, Rodgers and Adams and Jones and Lazard and Tanyan, they can all run over that defense, and that's fine. And like the Titans are only averaging 1 sack a game, which is even better because obviously Rodgers' O-line had a tough like second half, but our O-line is like really good. I really do think our offense can run over that defense, but it's really going to be our defense being able to stop Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill, like Derrick Henry. Like there's so many things that they have to worry about all at once that they might be able to contain him for the first half, but I don't know how the second half is going to go. Like we could be up like 21-10 and then I literally could feel like we could lose like 24. You know, just because their offense can turn a switch and flip a switch at literally any point in time and Derrick Henry could rush for 100 yards in 2 drives and it could be over.
It's fucking one play. You can have a 100-yard. You can have a 100-yard run.
99-yard run twice. So it's
shit.
literally a thing.
Oh man. Okay. I mean, you make really good points, and I try to be, the most unbiased, like level-headed, objective fan, and but I'm gonna say the Packers win. I don't know how the hell they're gonna win, and the reason. I mean, I think I do know how they're going to win. I think they have to kind of use some of that medicine against the Titans. Like I said, run the ball, rely on play action, okay? And not only that, but on defense, like you said, I mean, they got to pick their poison. And we fucking know that Pettin just loves to let teams run all over him. But it's like, dude, you have to say to yourself, this week is the week where I am going to commit to stopping the run. Commit to stopping the run. And live and die with your guys on the outside. Like I feel like at least that way, even if Corey Davis and Brown have like a big day, or one of them have a big day, or like not like huge days, but like they still catch their touchdowns or whatever, like maybe, it becomes a shootout. Like I said, these are the two highest scoring teams in the league. But I don't think you have an opportunity at a shootout if you let Derrick Henry eat that clock up. And if you let him just like grind your defense down and wear everybody out and make them tired and shit. So I think I'm hoping and praying that Pettin just commits to it. These guys play their fucking asses off for the have their best game on the day that they need to have their best game of the season. They they're on a little winning streak. The defense has been playing good, and this is going to be a test. This is going to be their biggest test, and I'm going to say they're going to need to get turnovers. They're going to have to get like maybe 2 turnovers, maybe 1 return for a touchdown. They're gonna have to get extra possessions. They're gonna right. They're gonna need one, man. They're gonna need
they are
somebody.
You know what film that they should watch if they're really trying to like watch how to hold off the Titans? Then like you need to watch them losing to the Browns. Because honestly, that game was so good on the Browns' end.
I think that was the game where he had less than.
Derrick Henry only had like 60 yards, but he had 15 carries. Like he only averaged 4 yards a carry. Like if you can do that, and then you know what I'm saying? Like it's really just you have to figure out how to slow him down.
What was the final score of that game? Do you have the final score of that game?
No. Hold on. Let's see. Browns versus Titans. 41-35.
Oh, see, it was still a shootout, even with Henry not having a big day. See? And I'm thinking maybe that's how the Packers are going to have to win this one, man. I'm thinking they're going to have to put all of their effort into containing Henry. Maybe not 60 yards, but like I said, even if he's got 100 or 120 or 150, but like you said, no scores. And it's like, okay, now you have an opportunity. Then you get a couple of turnovers. Now you have an opportunity to get some extra possessions. You take the ball away out of their hands. You kill some of their possessions. And I'm thinking it might be similar to this game. And I'm going to take the Packers 28 to like, I don't know, 35. Is that a possible score? 35.
So like the Packers score 35 and the Titans score 28.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it happening. Like, I can see it being possible that the Packers winning. Like I said, this is a winnable game. It's not like it's like, well, shit, Derrick Henry, like, it's over, like, we're going to lose, all this stuff. But just in general, like, I can also see us, like, just letting him loose and him running for 200 yards and 3 scores. Like, I can literally see it happening.
No, but we got it.
And then A.J. Brown and Corey Davis aren't even going to have to be a factor in the game. You know, like, I can see it literally going either way. And I don't think that I think it's just going to be right down the middle where it's enough that you know, Corey Davis is going to have a score, Tannehill's going to rush for 1, Derrick Henry's going to rush for 1, and then they're going to end up getting a couple field goals too or something, like, and it's just not going to be enough. Well, it's like what we do is literally just not, no matter how good we are on offense, it's not going to be enough to stop the Titans in their rushing game.
Well, I'm going to tell you like this. If that does happen, and you know, like I'm kind of being like, I do think this is a good team, but if they can't figure it out and they can't gut it out and win this game at home, like you said, I'm going to say that I don't think this team has a shot at winning the Super Bowl. To me, like this is, and I know people are going to say, well, teams have bad luck. There's a lot of, you can give me a lot of lip service on that, but like this is like a playoff game, you know? Like this is a team that is a Super Bowl contender in the AFC, no doubt. This is the number 1 scoring offense now in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like even if it is by less than a point over the Packers, this is an MVP candidate in Derrick Henry. You know, like this is a defense that is not even as good as ours on paper, but they have done enough and they make it happen. And they've got they have an identity. I feel like the Packers still kind of don't have an identity almost. Like it's like they kind of do, but it's like they don't.
Right.
And I mean, if they did have a full identity, I don't feel like you can go 2 halves of football in a season without scoring a touchdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or scoring more than 3 points. Like at least get some more field goals. If you just had got 1 more field goal against Indianapolis, you would have been good. You know? So it's like, but if they can't win this one, to me, it says that they're not really ready. They're not ready to take on the better teams in the NFL. And maybe even they are in the NFC, they're damn sure not ready for the AFC. Because, I mean, I think the AFC is a stronger conference this year. And it's like, you got to beat the best if you want to be the best. And, you know, I'm not gonna. I need them to show me that they mean business and that they can play championship caliber football, all 4 quarters, all 3 phases. You know.
Right.
So that's it for the show. I think this was aside from the technical difficulties, I think overall this was a pretty good show. It was a success. I mean, how do you feel about the show?
Yeah, I can agree. And I mean, technical difficulties happen all the time. So
Yes.
That's fine. We got through it.
Even the pros, even on the big cable networks, you know, they're billion-dollar companies. They have technical difficulties. So of course, you know, 2 people shooting out of their houses in the middle of a pandemic, you know, we can have a couple technical difficulties. We got a couple mulligans in there. All right, man. It's your boy Godchild, first of his name, the host of the What's Packin' Sports Show on Twitch and YouTube. This has been Savannah at Sav on Sports Her. I got your Twitter handle right there on the screen so people can see it. You can't see it, but when you watch it back on YouTube or whatever, you'll see that everybody can see it, so they know where to hit you up on Twitter for more of these great stats and information. You got the interesting stats. I wrote down a couple of stats I'm gonna tweet out that you wrote down. We're gonna bless the fans with. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate everybody who stopped by. My man Gets Don't Talk Sports. There were a couple other people kind of lurking in the chat in the room. That's what they call it. They lurk. They don't really say nothing. They don't type anything. They just watch, and that's cool. You need the lurkers. You need the watchers. Yeah. So until the next show, this has been What's Packin'. Go Pack Go, and remember, the Bears still suck. You like that? That's how I end every show.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, peace. Or did you want to say anything else before we get off? Did you want to say anything? Do you want to plug anything or whatever?
Go Packers.
All right, go Packers. Let's win on Sunday, baby.
Yeah.